big political storm has erupted after the Department of Justice sent a letter to the Congress which carried a list of all prominent individuals named in the files related to proclaimed sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The 6-page letter, signed by Attorney General Pam Bondi and addressed to the Senate and House Judiciary Committee, also justified the redactions made in the files. The Department of Justice said that the names appeared in the files in a wide variety of contexts. According to the letter, some individuals had extensive direct email contact with Epstein or his closest aide, Ghislaine Maxwell, while other individuals are mentioned only in a portion of a document. The list mentions U.S. President Donald Trump along with former presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Former presidents George W. Bush and Bill Clinton have also been named in the files. Earlier, former President Bill Clinton and ex-Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had finalized an agreement with House Republicans to testify in a House probe into Epstein. Hillary Clinton will testify before the House Oversight Committee on Feb 26th, and Bill Clinton will appear on Feb 27th. The list in the DOJ letter also names Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, ex-owner Elon Musk, among others. Bondi also justified redactions made in the files, saying that the DOJ, in consultation with victim counsel and victims directly, and engaged in an extensive process to identify and redact segregable portions of records that contain personally identifiable information of victim or victim's personal and medical files and similar files, the disclosure of which would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal piracy. The DOJ letter read, "Although permitted by the Act, no materials were redacted or withheld on that basis that a record contain information specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy and are in fact properly classified pursuant to such executive order." However, the Democrats have hit out at the Justice Department, accusing it of purposely muddying the waters on Epstein. Congressman Ro Khanna wrote on X, "To have Janis Joplin, who died when Epstein was 17, in the same list as Larry Nassar, who went to prison for the sexual abuse of hundreds of young women and child pornography, with no clarification of how either was mentioned in the files, is absurd. Release the full files, stop protecting predators, redact only the survivors' names." The Democrats have demanded that Donald Trump sack Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnik, whose name emerged in the Epstein files.
You led people to believe that you had cut off all contact with Jeffrey Epstein after the 2005 encounter you and your wife had in his apartment. But as I'm sure you know, the Epstein files show a very different record of interaction. Why do the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York, right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall. 2 times.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnik is under fire after his name emerged in the Epstein files released by the Department of Justice last month. Lutnik confirmed that he met Jeffrey Epstein on his infamous private island in 2012 during a Senate hearing, contradicting earlier statements that he had cut ties with Epstein years before. He had said in a podcast interview last year that he cut ties with Epstein in 2005. In testifying before the U.S. Congress, Lutnik confirmed for the first time that he had lunch with Epstein on the island, 4 years after Epstein's conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor.
True that you
Epstein files show that Lutnik traveled to Epstein's island, Little St. James, on December 23, 2012. Emails indicate that his wife contacted Epstein's assistant that morning to arrange anchoring their boat near the island. Lutnik accepted the visit, but said he could not recall the reason for it. He sought to distance himself from Epstein, alleging he barely had anything to do with the financier and convicted sex offender.
You led people to believe that you had cut off all contact with Jeffrey Epstein after the 2005 encounter you and your wife had in his apartment. But as I'm sure you know, the Epstein files show a very different record of interaction. Why do the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York, right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall, 2 times. And that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him, and then a year and a half after that, I met him, and never again. Probably the total, and you've seen all of these documents, of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him, probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period. I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person, okay?
Sir, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's not an indication that you yourself engaged in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the fact that you believe that you misled the country and the Congress based on your earlier statements, suggesting that you cut off all contact when, in fact, you had not.
The Commerce Secretary is the latest member of the political and financial elite to face pressure over relations with the disgraced financier. Democrats have demanded the resignation of Lutnik over his ties with Epstein. Democrat Senator Jackie Rosen told Axios on February 10th that she was calling on Lutnik to resign, the first member of the Senate Commerce Committee to do so. She joined a bipartisan group of lawmakers in the House that urged Lutnik to resign this week. In a post on X, Representative Robert Garcia said it is clear now that Lutnik had been lying about his relationship with Epstein, hence he must quit or be fired. Democratic Senator Ted Lieu accused Lutnik of lying to American people. Senator Adam Schiff, too, said that Lutnik has no business being our Commerce Secretary. Representative Melanie Stansberry of the Democrats, who sits on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, has urged Lutnik to testify before Congress in regard to his relationship with Epstein. Democratic Representative Sidney Kamlager Dove also signaled concern over mistruths from Lutnik.